Welcome to the Big Half and Half Rewatch Podcast, the podcast where you might end up with cake in your crotch, where we watch each episode of the UPN sitcom Half and Half and recap them from a modern POV. Join us through this journey of discovery as we break down the relationships of the characters and maybe even get a little inside tea.
This part on half and half. This part on half and half. We'll discuss with love and laugh. We'll discuss with love and laugh. Our favorite shows that mean so much to us. You know we had to show love. We had to show love. We'll recap every episode. Talk about all the jokes that were told. Maybe even get a little tea. Tune in and see.
I'm Barrett.
I'm Myles.
And today we're going to talk about episode 3, Big Crappy Birthday, which originally aired on October 7th, 2002, written by Jay Dyer. And I, of course, have to have my fun facts every time. Some of them not so fun. I don't know why it's always war-related with me. But George Bush made his case for the Iraq War on this very day in a press conference. Hashtag weapons of mass destruction. Number one song was, yet again, A Moment Like This. Kelly Clarkson, she's on those charts, baby. And the number one movie, Red Dragon, which I don't really remember. Was this like a kung fu movie or something? Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember. The name sounds very familiar, but
it does sound familiar, but I have no idea what that's about. So. Yeah. Surely you were great.
This feels like it might have been like the Chun-Li era. I don't know. The Red Dragon. Oh man, I gotta look that up now.
Y'all know who you are. Great job for getting the number one. And the number one show that week was CSI, and they had 30.73 million views. Again, can you imagine one show? What a time to be alive. And the more, there's more things to watch and we're more spread out. Eventually, people are going to be happy to get 10,000 views on something.
Right.
Would you like to give a little synopsis of this episode?
I'm down for a little recap rap. Dee Dee and Mona throw a joint party. The intentions are good, but it brings up too many memories from their childhood. Then Dee Dee spills the beans about her parents getting together. Turns out Phyllis has been in line forever. Now that Mona knows, her world is high-key shook. Will it all end well? I don't know. Let's take a look.
Oh, bars. Delicious
Guys.
Records is going to sign you. But
one of these days, I'm going to just keep spinning them until, I get that phone call.
I'll be back up. So this episode, if it wasn't obvious, is about a birthday. And I always forget that Mona and Dee Dee are 3 years, 3 months, 3 days, 3 hours, 3 minutes, 3 seconds apart. That seems a little weird. Like Charles almost intended to do that on like some Nick Cannon shit. Like I want to have my children in a certain order or something. No, that's a little creepy.
I was thinking about that too. It's very weird. And like they were acting like the joint birthdays were normal and should have been normal. But I'm like, that I don't feel like it would be fun.
Yeah, I wouldn't like that.
I don't want to share my birthday with the person who took my daddy. No, I'm cool.
Even if we were cool, I want my own birthday. Like
yeah. I don't even like having my birthday close to holidays. Like I damn sure like my birthday is not a full week from New Year's Eve, and I hate it because everybody be out of town or partied out from New Year's, and then my birthday come around the corner. So I don't even like that. I couldn't imagine having a half sibling to split my birthday with. It's just a no for me, dog.
One of my half sisters, which I typically don't call them half sisters, but for the sake of the show, her birthday is the day before mine. Another one is like 3 weeks after, and the other one I have no idea when her birthday is. But we never had no joint, nothing. It starts out with Mona and Spencer reading the paper. So dated, they would not be reading a paper today. Maybe an iPad.
Now they just be scrolling on their phones, which the paper is so fun because then you get the bit of them passing the paper between each other so you can see how close they are and they finishing the pages at the same time in sync. Now
I almost feel like they're planting the seeds for something to happen because they were real cozy in this episode.
They were
a few moments, but that was cute with the little switch in the paper. I love their friendship. Looking at it differently now because I know I have to talk about it later. I am very just like, oh, that's so cute. The two of them. We'll see if I continue to feel that way. We're only 3 episodes in. But Mona is going to be 25. And in real life, Rachel True was 36. Work.
Wow.
Mhm.
That is madness. The way like black people do this so
Mhm.
often it's insane to me. So just to go on a quick sidebar rant, I've just been having conversations about Walter, who played the Black Power Ranger on the Power Rangers
Mhm.
that like we grew up watching, like the OG one. And like when he was shooting that, he was like supposed to be a high school kid, and he was damn near 30 as well. So now he's 59 and still looks 35, and everyone has been in shock recently on the interwebs. So to hear this reminds me of that, because it's like it's insane how good we be looking and how we could play damn near any age at any time, and nobody will check us. Nobody will even second guess how old we actually are. It's crazy. I love it.
If I didn't have this gray facial hair, I think I could pass for a little younger. I don't know if I could pass for 25 because I'm 37, so maybe 26. I don't know. But I need to know, drop a skincare routine, Rachel True, because I
Man,
believe she's a smoker and I believe that she's half white and she still is looking young as hell today and she's like in her
yeah.
50s now. So, skincare routine, because clearly those two things do not affect you the way people say they're going to affect everybody. I really think a lot of stuff is just case by case. So, I need to know what Olay or whatever you're using. Thank you, Rachel. Um, Speaking of 25, how does Mona only have $25? As we have discussed, she does not pay rent. She has
This
a good job. What are you doing?
this made me so mad.
Like
Like
$25. She didn't say it
I
like a
don't.
joke. She said it like
Uh,
that. She said it like it was true.
Yeah, like she dead ass said it, like, and it was so matter of factly, and I'm like, I don't understand. We got to figure out where her money is. Like, she
It's
has
the
a
boots.
real big girl
It is the
job.
boots that has to be what it is.
It's it's
Because
got to be just going
I don't
somewhere.
understand.
It's really starting to frustrate me now.
Rachel, if you
Like
ever
she
come
literally
on the
said she
show,
couldn't even throw a birthday party because she didn't have the money. Like she said, she needed a sugar daddy to have a birthday at 25. You don't even. First of all, you don't even need a lot to have a birthday party at 25. Just a couple of like she just likes some fruit with some alcohol in it and some music and you good. Like you don't need a whole lot. So like, how don't you have money to throw a party for your 25th and you got a real big girl job?
I would love to know what she's spending her money on. She doesn't have to buy her own toilet paper. Phyllis brings that by. Phyllis brings food.
Exactly.
I don't understand. You're not going to the hair salon every week because you're wearing it natural. So all the things that I would think you'd be spending your money on, I don't know. Rachel True, explain please what you think Mona was doing
We're
on the
gonna need some
side.
answers from her, from Yvette, from somebody.
But we do also finally see the official Mona's Kitchen because they changed it in the second episode. Now it's the final version, a white refrigerator. Ooh, but maybe that was to show the class difference because I'm pretty sure Dee Dee had stainless steel appliances in her
Yeah.
apartment. So maybe that's what they were doing. Sorry, Nene, if you had to watch that. But they mentioned the joint party. Did we say Mona be smoking? See, she'd be getting a little. Because she was like, "Yeah, let's do that." I think that would have been a better
That would have
alternative.
been such a good play on words. Again, if we were in a different time, we could have really went there. That would have been fun.
I think that's definitely her and Spencer. Like, I can just see them just smoking, and hell, even Adam, and just vibing. And Dee Dee probably wouldn't be into that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But that would have been a fun episode if it was on today to have them like accidentally give Phyllis and Big Dee Dee some edibles or something, and they don't know what it is, and they end up best buddies or whatever because they're under the influence.
I thought
So
that would have been
when
so
they do the
good.
reboots, that'll be one of the episodes.
That's a good pitch. I like it.
And they do a flashback. This is the first time that we see young Mona and young Dee Dee, whose names I don't have written down right now. Perhaps our crack research team, as Telma says on her podcast, can find that information. And maybe we can find them, get them on here, because I don't know if it was intended, but they come back many times throughout the show
Yeah.
in little flashbacks. And we see Phyllis and Dee Dee, Big Dee Dee. Back in the day, they're supposed to be 86, the 1986 Craptacular.
Yep.
And they had the little 80s clothes. Big Dee Dee had her little shorts on.
Yep.
But Mona was a little too old to be eating tassels off of a bicycle.
That really bothered me, man. I was like, she's the big sister. Wouldn't the big sister trick the little sister into doing something that silly? Why is her big ass eating the tassels off the bicycle? How is that gonna fix your problem? Just rip them off and put them in the
Right. Like, why
trash.
did
Why
you
did
have
you?
to eat them? And then she
You
talked
didn't
about
have
my
to eat the
stomach is
evidence.
bubbling. You need your stomach pumped if you're eating tassels, Mona.
Yeah,
So,
I
not
didn't get
to
that.
defend Charles, but I don't know if that was that big of a slight that she didn't have tassels. If the bikes are the same, you're different ages. So maybe he just felt that, okay, you're older, you don't need tassels.
Exactly. I would usually tassels would be like not cool considered at a certain age. So
Right.
like yeah, that was probably the thinking is like, oh, she's a big girl. She don't want tassels. She
I
don't
think
have
she would
trekking
have been
wheels.
like 9 in that flashback. That's a tall 9 year old. So
Yeah,
maybe he didn't want you to look, like weird riding that bike. But I guess
yeah,
the answer is to eat them.
yeah.
And I
I guess the thing
did,
is, you don't care if you don't want it, but it's the fact that it wasn't offered to you and it was given to
yeah.
somebody else that will piss you off.
In flashback, little Dee Dee is always a super big brat every time we see her.
Yeah,
So that could have added to it as well. But of course,
yeah,
on site with Phyllis and Big Dee Dee from 1986 to 2006, every time I see you, I got something to say. So I
yeah.
will give my read of the week this week to Phyllis with I know the B word and I'm looking at one. It's like,
That
oh,
that was
we've
my
been
favorite of the episode too. It was so good, so clever. Like I love a good play on words, and it was so perfect.
even Big Dee Dee didn't have anything to say to that one. She was like,
There,
I
there
what?
was no set. I mean, there was nothing she could do. Like it was perfectly set up when she said, "Oh, you do remember the alphabet, don't you, dear?" Because she's the whole thing was like, "Why is your child's name first on the cake?" And she was like, "Oh, well, you do remember the alphabet, don't you, dear?" And she was like, "I remember the B word," and I'm looking at it, and it was perfect, and she couldn't say nothing back.
And with that little ass cake too, I'm surprised. All those people
Yeah,
and all the money they got, you got
all
this
the
little
people,
teeny
all
tiny
that money
cake.
in this small ass cake. But I guess
Mm,
they probably she wasn't. Big Didi probably ordered the cake, and she probably don't eat a lot of cake, so
maybe
she
that's
was
what
like,
it was.
"It's just for optics anyway."
And I got this on for Phyllis, my little kitty cat Christmas tree, since she
Nice,
has
nice.
her multiple cats had to represent, and it's also like -25 here, so needed to be a
Oh
little warm.
yeah, y'all are
Mm,
having that little big winter storm.
just a little bit. It's rough. Just trying to live and survive. So be glad that you are in beautiful California. So you might have an earthquake and half the state might detach and go into the ocean. At least you're not going to be cold.
Exactly. At least it's gonna be like this, where it's like y'all gonna freeze slowly, and that's gonna be rough.
And did you have your jury duty today, by the way? Which I'm
Yeah,
very
so
jealous of.
I did have jury duty this week. Luckily or not luckily, I didn't get selected, but the selection process is crazy in itself. Like, I can't obviously dive into the details of the case, but it was actually a case that once I finally got there, first of all, I'm not a morning person, just so y'all know. So I had to wake up and be at this courtroom at like 7 o'clock, which is way
Oh,
out of my normal time. Not a time that I like to look at ever. So I get there and like we go through the process of being selected. And for those who've never been on a jury before, it's a very it's a they go into a lot of details for everyone to see if you are fit or if you may have any certain biases before they select you to be in the actual jury. And so they need to get a lot of information about you, and it's very personal information. And there were 55 prospective jurors, and so they have 55 of us in a room, and the judge is asking us very detailed personal questions. You just out here giving all your life information and your family and friends information to a bunch of strangers so they can see whether or not they want to pick you to say guilty or not guilty for this trial. And it's a weird thing. Have you ever
I don't
done
know
it?
if I would like that. I would love to do jury duty, though. I am one of those people that would like to do that. And I got picked once, but then while we were waiting, they decided to settle or something. And I was
Mm.
pressed. And then I got something in the mail about like what the heck is that called? Like when you need to decide if like the state is going to bring charges of grand jury. I got a grand
Oh,
jury thing, and it was like, be on alert. We might want you. I was so prepared, especially at that time. I thought it was going to be for Trump or something, and then I
right.
never heard anything else ever again. I would love to be on a high profile case and be the
Yeah.
foreman and go talk to the press, write a book, go on Good Morning America. Maybe I'm in this for the wrong reasons, but I don't want to see nothing nasty though. If it's like somebody getting mutilated, I don't want to see that part, but.
Right.
I do want to be a part of the judicial system and, maybe sentence someone to life. But,
See,
that
that
hasn't
ain't right.
happened yet. They're going to pull this up when I do finally get
And
it
they're
and
gonna be like,
say,
and see, and this is why you can't be on the case. They're gonna be like,
but
this right
it's
here.
better to sentence them to life than to death. I'm surprised they never did a
That's
half
true.
and half jury duty. That was a big thing for a while, jury duty in sitcoms.
It
That would have
was
been funny
all
looking.
yeah. It was on so many TV shows, but now I see why having finally done it because it is very intriguing. And like I said, I didn't want to do it initially, but then after hearing about the case, like I started to get into it, and I was like, okay, I would, like you just said, want to be part of the judicial system and have my hand in making this call right or wrong or whatever the case may be. But just to get selected is such a crazy in-depth process, and like I heard so many traumatic things about other people, like because they ask you what crimes have you, your family members, or your close friends
Well, I'm
committed?
nosy. I would love that part.
So I mean, if you this is all for you, I mean, because I'm telling you, like then you literally just go around the room and everybody tell everybody business about all the crimes they committed, their mama committed, their daddy, their cousins, all kind of stuff is crazy. Like you gotta, it's in depth, man.
Well,
But
I'd be the holdout because you ain't gonna make me change my answer, and I want to make sure I know what I'm doing because I don't want to fuck somebody's life up on a hunch. So
right,
I had to throw that in there to save myself for when they pull this episode. I have here that it's interesting that Mona and Dee Dee are suddenly BFFs when she can really fucking stand her ass the first two episodes, but now all of
yeah,
a sudden, they're bonding, they're besties. I mean, that's cute and all, but I don't know if I believe that it jumped to that so quickly. She's still hesitant, but she's way more open. So maybe this is just a continuation of their laundry room moment,
I
and
think
she's
so.
able to trust her more. I did forget about that, so
Yeah,
I guess I'll allow it.
yeah, I think that's really what it is.
They
She's
had their
trying to be
little
open
moment.
and receptive, even though they're not quite there yet.
Mm-hmm. But of course, we have to go, and it could have just been the fruit and the liquor that won her over, but I don't know.
I
But
do
of
think
course,
that was a big thing. She made a very big deal about the watermelon field with vodka, and then that she immediately agreed when she said she could get that.
I thought that I remember them having that, so maybe it comes back at some other point because I know they do other birthday episodes and parties and things. That I feel like I remember a scene of her trying to drink out of a watermelon or something.
I
Maybe
thought
I
I
made that
remembered it
up.
too.
I
We
don't
both
know.
might we
Good
we might have just
callback.
dreamed it. And they just mentioned it so much that it sounded so delicious, so
I
we might
just
have both
picture
dreamed it.
that, but it might not have ever happened. But of course, we end up with there I was flying off to Acapulco with your father when that bitch came rolling down the aisle, pushing her little cart. She offered him an extra bag of peanuts. He follows her off to the bathroom, and next thing I know, let's just say the friendly skies have been so damn friendly, or something like that. And again, it's the third episode in a row where we're hearing this story, and I
Yep.
guess it's good that they resolved it because I don't know if we need to hear that every episode.
Right.
But she is obsessed, obsessed.
Yeah.
It's
She's
kind of
committed. I mean I appreciate commitment to a
She needs
bit.
to be
She is
committed at this point because not only are you obsessed with this man, but you are making up lies to the point where you believe them. She literally believes it.
yeah.
That's sick, Phyllis.
Did you tell yourself anything for 20 years though, 23 years, you'd fall for it too.
And I understand her feeling like she needed to come up with something because of the real reason that we find out later that they broke up, but that's what you come up with? Like, did you have to villainize Big Dee Dee and villainize Charles? He does enough of that on his own. He doesn't need help in that department. It's just a little much. And then to, not want her to bond with her sister based on a lie,
Right.
that's fucked up, Phyllis.
Yeah, at least and you would think because she knew it was a lie and remember that initially that she would have at least tried to balance it and like made sure it didn't get in the way of the friendship of the
Phyllis,
sisters.
Phyllis,
Can you
you have
do?
a problem. This is not okay. You need a therapist, even though you're a therapist. But Mona, of course, comes out later, uses this, which again makes Mona look like the bad guy. Thank you, Phyllis. We're again talking about it, assuming everybody watched it. Dee Dee wants to throw a party with Mona because their birthdays are so close. And the next scene that we see is her telling Phyllis about it. And then Phyllis is against it because of the birthday craptaculars. So next scene, we have the party planning at Dee Dee's with Spencer. Apricot cake, is that a favorite of yours?
If anyone ever, I love cake so much. Like, I will buy cake on a Tuesday because I need to feel better. But don't ever bring me no damn apricot cake, please.
Don't bring me apricot nothing unless it's like some potpourri, which I don't even know if they still make potpourri. But black people I need something sweet. It's just you just have to have it. It's just how it is. But it would not be that. And the fact that she just took over. Last episode, I was on Team Dee Dee. Now I'm back on Team Mona. And maybe as we watch, we'll realize that they go back and forth and make us dislike somebody.
I think that's what they want. That's
because Dee Dee was quite a brat this week, and Mona was very accommodating and very just like, okay, Dee Dee, whatever, sure. And maybe that's because of their laundry room, come to Jesus moment. Only for Dee Dee to now take advantage of that. And
it also just may be like the power dynamics at play because she's been very clear she didn't have the money to throw this party. So even though she has a lot of opinions and things that she would want for the party, since she knows she ain't got no money, she may just be taking the back seat and letting the girl with the money do what she gonna do, even though she's not really happy with all the ridiculous decisions she's making, like apricot cake, or instead of having fun music, jazz music, all of these things.
I guess.
Yeah, sometimes you'd be like, all right, I mean, this ain't what I want, but like, it's either this or nothing. So
maybe that's why they made a point to bring up she only got $25 because she can't afford no reggae band. She can't even afford a single steel drum. So I guess she's like, well, you got the money, but my thing is, on one hand, I'm like, why even bother to have the party with her? Why not just do what you want and say this is my party? But I guess in her head, she didn't see anything wrong with it. She didn't feel like she was taking over. And I can relate because I like things done my way. Not because it's just my way, but because it happens to be the correct way to do it.
Exactly.
I
think she literally says that at the end of the episode, but we're not going to jump.
Yeah, she did say something about it's just, better. But I can't get with the apricot. I can't assume that that's better for anybody. Who would want
that? Better. The light jazz music is not better than the music she wanted.
I mean, considering the ages,
might have been a bit much.
Like you're turning 23 and 25, and you want jazz and apricots.
Yeah, like
I like the disco ball idea, but then again, I'm a gay man, so maybe that's why. And I have a disco ball. I have many disco balls in my home. So maybe I'm biased on that, but
I mean, I like a good disco ball, but I mean, it's not necessary. It might be a bit much. I don't know, but
I just feel like there was no Mona. I in my head, I remember her allowing Mona to have some type of input on something, but literally nothing. She couldn't pick it. She's like, all the invitations already went out, and who are these people? Because let Mona tell her she ain't got no friends. Because Dee Dee's, oh, my friends, your friends. So much for that. And then talking about they're going to. Her friends are going to bring Mona gifts. How does that work? They don't know her. They don't know what she likes.
I thought about that too, but then I'm also like, but I mean, hey, again, if you was going to get no gifts because you didn't have the money to throw a party, you'd be like, all right, let me see what these random strangers bring me. Cool.
And you can sell it if you want.
Usually, if you don't know somebody, what do you give them? A gift card or money. So I'm like, that could work.
And as smart as Dee Dee is, I think she lacks a lot of maturity in many ways. And you have to remember, she is very young. And has been, sheltered and spoiled and pampered. So she legitimately did not see that there was anything wrong at that time with taking over. Now, does that excuse it? No. But many people would be like, oh, well, I know this is wrong, but I don't give a damn because this is what I want to do. And she legitimately didn't feel that way. So I can give her a little credit. And we do see more of that later on in the show of these types of clashes happening where she really thinks that's what's best. Because she's not as down to earth, salt of the earth, rather, as Mona and Phyllis. So, we'll give her a little pass, but we're watching you, Dee Dee.
Right. But her doing all of this makes Mona say the famous quote that her mother is always saying. And then she's like, girl, what? She laughed so hard. It was like, that ain't true.
I
What are you
mean,
talking about? And so that finally was the moment that like blew this up for her. And she was like, wait, what do you mean that's not? She was like, girl, that wouldn't even make no sense. Like, logistically speaking, first of all, he can't even eat peanuts. We learned that at the birthday party. He's allergic to peanuts.
closing. And
Right.
no one does
So
anything. Just watch him.
exactly. And she never put two and two together that like the whole story never logistically made any sense.
I am curious. One, she makes it seem like it's so beneath her to be a flight attendant. I think even now that's still, for the most part, a job where you're like, "Ooh, you're a flight attendant."
That's
I
one of the
tried to be one.
fancier. Yeah, that's a fancier job, I believe, to have. I mean, you live in a good life, obviously. Like, I mean, if that's what you want to do, always be on the go, always traveling. Like,
I mean, you only get paid when the flight is in the air, which is unfortunate.
yeah,
But back then, there was no Spirit, there was no Frontier, so every flight attendant, was seen as
right.
ooh. And then she said, "My mother's never worked a day in her life." How the hell she ain't never worked? Because we don't ever. She doesn't make it sound like she grew up rich by any means.
Yeah,
So what was she doing? I need answers. Dee Dee LaFontaine. I guess she was just acting, maybe. But
maybe. I mean, maybe. Do you count modeling as work? I mean, I would, but maybe she doesn't. I don't know. Maybe she means like she never had like a labor like job.
perhaps maybe that's what she meant. But maybe she did grow up rich because in season 4, jumping ahead just a little, when little Dee Dee's trying to save money, Big Dee Dee was so appalled at being in a budget store or whatever. So maybe she grew up wealthy and just continued to be. Now that I think about it, really didn't hear about her past that much other than talking about her evil sister Vivian and her
Yeah,
acting. But we also hear later on that Vivian is who Charles was originally supposed to be with, and Dee Dee stole him from Vivian.
yep.
So Phyllis says that Big Dee Dee stole him from her, but she really stole him from her sister, so she wasn't too
Plot
far
twist.
off. Which is now that's scandalous, but Vivian's the evil one. Okay.
Right.
I am curious if we ever saw Vivian. Who do you think? I'll put you on the spot. Would have been a good Vivian for that role at that time?
Ooh, that's a good question. At that time, man, I have to.
Because age wise, I'm like, who would fit? Even though she was playing a lot older, so I think like a Jennifer Lewis could have
Ooh.
maybe worked.
I always love a Jennifer Lewis. You can give me a good Jennifer
I
Lewis in
think they would
anything.
have been a good dynamic because they're both very theatrical.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
I can see, yeah, like if you were attracted to one, they got a lot of similarities that will make you attracted to the other. But at the same time, there's some subtle differences there. That'd be a good match.
And
I
Jennifer's
like
good at
that.
those roles that really command attention. And for once, Dee Dee wouldn't be the center because of Vivian.
I
So
would
save
love
that
to
for
see
the
them just
reboot.
like try to one up each other in a scene,
Uh-huh.
like with their grandiose movements and the voices, and just like that'll be fun.
I think
That'd be
so. Speaking
good.
of recasting, were we supposed to, wasn't our homework we gave each other to recast the show with white actresses?
It was. Like, do you want to dive into it now? Or should we save it to the end?
Yeah, I'm gonna give y'all some to want to listen
Yeah,
to
yeah,
so
yeah.
y'all don't just say, okay, I heard that, I'm clicking off. I gave y'all a little teaser.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're going. That's good. That's gonna be fun though. But yes,
Mhm.
casting everybody. The flip side of it.
I
What
was
if they were
really, I
white?
felt like I was doing homework. I was really like, okay, who would be perfect for this? No, too old, too young.
It was
But
good work to do. I liked it.
I feel like we might have some of the same ones. But
Let's see.
we we also have Spencer advocating for Phyllis after Mona confronts her at her job about this.
Hmm.
And sitcoms really had me thinking I would be getting a lot more parking validated as an adult than I have because every single sitcom, do you validate? Do you validate?
I
Which
think
Phyllis does
it's
not.
because it's LA. Because in LA,
Is
that's
that what it
everything.
is? Is it an LA
It's
thing?
so important, man. So that's these damn LA writers only caring about life in LA and not thinking about other cities because that is very. I always thought about that too as a child, but then like especially like in the Midwest or even in the South a little bit, I guess. But like more so, yeah, that's not a day to day thing. But out here, it's pretty important.
Only time I get validated parking is when I go to Home Goods. because one of them
Yeah.
got a little parking garage. Other than that, I'm usually decent. But we do see Phyllis's place of work for the first time. We don't see it a lot. The decor is really giving me a funeral home, but
Hmm.
maybe that's the vibe that she's going for. And Mona confronts her about the lie after she learns from Dee Dee that was not true. And Dee Dee was kind of dismissive. She kind of laughed in her fucking face about it.
Yeah.
That was a little rude.
To
Okay.
bring the money back up real quick, while they're in the office, Spencer buzzes in the office and he says he asked to borrow $50 to buy her a gift for her. First of all, you're asking somebody to borrow money to buy them a gift for their birthday. If I gotta give you the money to get me the gift, it's not really a gift because it's my money. I can just keep the money. That's the gift. That was wild. But anyway, he busted into the office and asked to borrow $50 so he could buy her a gift because he spent all his money last night at the club on a girl buying a bottle of Cristal, and then thinking that she was gonna get some, and then he said my horny line of the episode, which is, let's just say the next time a girl says Cristal puts her in the mood for sweaty sex, I'm gonna make sure she means sweaty sex with me. So he went broke allegedly, I guess, because again, we don't know why. Where's his money going to? They both got these good jobs. I don't know why he's also struggling. Besides the fact that he bought a bottle of Cristal.
He does have to pay rent, unlike Mona, and his apartment is very nice.
That's
but
true. That's true.
Come on now, Spencer.
That's true. But yeah, I guess he's not good at a budget, which is why he spent all his money on Cristal.
And this is the first appearance of Alec Mappa.
Yes.
As Adam. He wasn't as flamboyant, but he still was very sarcastic and didn't give a damn about anything that was going on. And I don't know at that time if it was meant for him to keep coming back. The fact that he was at the party makes me think maybe, but he eventually becomes a full-time cast member, though he doesn't get to do the dance with them in the intro. Maybe if they had been in season 5, they would have let him dance. But shout out to Alec Mappa, following the podcast.
Yes, big salute to him following the pod back. Also, just like his whole career, for me as a sitcom person, like he dibbled and dabbled, and he did a couple episodes or arcs on some of like my favorite shows. So many, like one of his first credits is Roseanne, which I'm not gonna get into who she is today, but that show meant so much to me and is iconic. So like he did an episode of that. He was on Hang with Mr. Cooper, the Jamie Foxx show, Dharma and Greg, a short beloved WB show called the Nick Freno Licensed Teacher. Shout out to all you super sitcom nerds who know what that show was.
What is that show? Do you have a show that I don't know?
Nick Freno, the Licensed Teacher, was basically Steve Harvey before Steve Harvey, literally, and it was the same network that gave us Steve Harvey. Go look this up. It's very intriguing. It was basically literally Steve Harvey. It's called Nick Freno, the Licensed Teacher. So I think WB was just like dedicated to finding a teacher show that was going to work. And Nick Freno, I want to say, had 2, maybe 3 seasons, probably just 2. But it was
that
just
has
cool,
the kid
white
from Alan Strange is on here.
Yeah. It was a pretty dope cast. I like Nick Freno, man, but then
look that up.
It didn't work out, but then we ended up getting Steve Harvey later, and that was bigger and better. But yeah, Alec was on like everything. He had a good arc on Desperate Housewives.
Yeah, I remember he was Gabby's friend, and he was on Ugly Betty as Suzuki James. What a name! He's everywhere. Typically, if I'm watching a show and they're about to introduce like some gay character within a certain time span, I'm like, I bet it's gonna be him. And then it was him. He was like the gay character, I guess, the go-to for a lot of these shows. Hey, get it how you can, honey. So hopefully we'll be having you on the show soon, Alex.
Hopefully, maybe he'll come talk about one of his first appearances. Also, he wrote an episode. He does it all. He's a comedian now, and he produces, he acts, he writes. But like he wrote an episode later on of Half and Half. So like,
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to be in Chicago doing comedy in a couple months, so I will be bum rushing the stage to get him to come on the podcast. So get your security guards ready. And shout out to Chico, who's also following us. Now we have 3 people from the cast. We just need Miss Valerie. And, all right. See, I feel like Phyllis because I got cats surrounding me, and I let him stay in here because he was asleep. You better be quiet, man.
That's how they get you. They
this
trick
is not
you.
Professional. We're trying to look at him.
Look at that face though. He says, "Come on."
And noisy. But where was I? You distracted me, Cat. On my
So
note.
Alec made his appearance as
Yes,
Adam.
the first sighting with this gigantic headset, but I guess that's probably high tech for that time.
Yeah.
Take me back. But when we do see him at the party and he's eating the ramaki, would Big Dee Dee be serving the food at the party? Like after we just had this whole thing about how
she just bossy and doing so many things, and Alec, even from the jump, like when he entered the office, like he's already like being bossed around, but he's like not just like taking it. He's like rolling his eyes and like being passive aggressive about all the things he's forced to do. So he goes into the office. He's forced to deliver this birthday message for Mona that her mom left her. And it's a apology-esque, but it's not really an apology. It's more so of a reminder that like, hey girl, I gave birth to you and I love you, so like don't be mad at me. It didn't work.
Just getting bossed around. I wonder if that role was even meant to be gay, meant to be Asian, meant to be anything, because it really wasn't that specific, or if they just, I just want to know how it became the character it became, because it really could have been, a man, a woman, whatever. Yeah. And maybe he just nailed it, so they just centered it around him, perhaps. I would love to know more about that. And yeah, I guess Dee Dee really was, maybe Big Dee was just serving the food just so she'll be able to boss people around, because she's the one person I feel like Adam wouldn't snap back at, maybe because she's a fabulous diva. And they do eventually kind of, connect, because their love of the arts later on in the show. That was an interesting pair that I wouldn't have seen coming early on. And
I like it though.
They got more.
It's a fun pairing. Before we get out of the office, though, after Adam comes in, we get a fun little moment, which is actually kind of telling to the future, where Shimona is still upset about the lie that she's finding out is not true, and Spencer tells her like, "Hey, like." Maybe it was for the best. Like maybe they lied to you for a good reason. Like my mama lied to me about my dog going away to the circus. But really, what happened in real life was my dad ran him over in the driveway. And he was like, "But that was a better for me to know the lie, because now I can imagine my little dog getting shot out of a cannon." Then he was like, "Go Tippy, go Tippy." Like I
did like that imagery, but I forgot that Spencer didn't know his dad.
Yeah.
So who is this man that you're talking about? And wasn't his dad played by Billy Dee Williams?
Oh, is it?
When we did finally meet him, because Phyllis was kind of into him. And listening to Telma's podcast about Family Matters, she was mentioning how she always had a crush on Billy Dee Williams. And she would hide from him when they would like be on shows or whatever together, because she was so nervous. But then he would like tease her, and then he would duck behind something if he saw her. And she said that once they got on Half and Half together, that the crush was gone and how he couldn't remember his lines. And Kelly, aka Laura Winslow, was like, "Oh, is that all it takes? Once you stop remembering your lines, the crush is gone." But I feel like I'm going to be watching that episode now to see if it looks like he is having trouble remembering. But she put him on blast.
Sometimes, I mean, when you're not, because I think what it probably was, it was like you imagine him to be this cool, smooth person, and then when you see them not smooth and cool and messing up their lines, then you're like, he not. That ain't the smooth dude I thought he was.
True. She was not as impressed, I guess, as Florence was on the Jeffersons when he came on there. But he was kind of like the guy before it was Denzel, and then like Michael B. Jordan. Like it's always that one black guy that
I would say Idris is the bridge between Denzel and Michael, probably.
Maybe Will Smith before the slap. I don't know.
Yeah. Or after the slap. If you're black, people
that made me like him more.
Defending him as a woman, right?
But somebody needs to slap Chris Rock anyway. But I think that speaking of Spencer and his father, Spencer, since I'm finally doing a podcast about a black show, I feel more comfortable saying Spencer's a nigga. Okay, he's a nigga. You spend all your money on champagne and all
Yeah,
nigga behavior. And his father sounds like he was a nigga too. And
yeah.
hell, Charles is being pretty nigga-ish himself. Okay, that's all my niggas for this episode. I used them up.
We only get 3 per episode. Now
Yeah,
I gotta
only
pay
so many.
somebody if we need more.
But that I don't know if this is the same father or if they just thought about it later, but let's just say it is. So not only did you give the dog away or whatever, but then you abandon your family. Horrible, horrible man.
Yeah,
Terrible.
yeah.
Maybe that's why Mona and Spencer bond because they have shitty dads.
That's a good point.
Could be a little connection there. I wish we could have met Spencer's mother at some point, but you can only do so much with 91 episodes. So we're at the party, as we mentioned. Dee Dee serving food and serving looks, and
She forces Adam to take that damn stuff that he does not want to take, the Ramaki, which I don't even know what
I
that
meant
is.
to look
but
it up. I'm in my head. I'm picturing sushi of some sort. I don't know why. Let me see.
If we can get the prop department to pull up a picture of Ramaki right here. I don't know
Maki
what it
is
is.
an appetizer of chicken livers and water chestnuts wrapped in bacon.
That doesn't even sound good. But she forces him to have it. He eats it like against his will just because she was being very pushy. And then as soon as she turned around, he spit it out into a drink, which is probably what I would have did too because it sounds terrible.
Seems kind of whack. You eating water chestnuts, apricot cake, listening to jazz. This is sorry, it doesn't sound that interesting to me, Dee Dee. But there was a lot of people there, though. People we never will see again and didn't know who they were.
Yep.
And we didn't see
Shout
her
out to the
best
background
friend.
extras.
There was no Merce, her best friend, or any of those other people. But it was a cute little party. Mona showed up clearly very late, even though she was downstairs. And then Charles pops up, and he is the quintessential corny dad that everybody is like, because he was doing
dance that he did was so terrible. Terrible.
I never realized until this episode that he continuously did it for the rest of the scene. Like he did not stop. He just was over in the corner, just feeling himself, I guess.
It was so unnecessary. So unnecessary.
And it makes me wonder how many birthdays he spent with Mona once they stopped doing the craptaculars, if their birthdays were 3 days apart. If he was, what did Dee Dee get that she didn't get? Were you taking Dee Dee on trips and stuff, and then Mona just got a car? Like, that's a little fucked up.
That's a really good question. And then when he entered too, he came in and was like, I don't know why we stopped having these parties together. And then Mona was like, tassels, vomit, emergency room. I don't know. What do you remember how bad it was?
This is why Dee Dee is so oblivious, because he is. What do you mean, why did we stop? Why do you think? We didn't talk for like 10 years. That's one.
None of us like each other. What do you mean?
Your wife and ex-wife hate each other. Like, there's a lot of reasons why you would have done this.
He'd definitely just be oblivious in his own little world. Yeah.
And then we see Big Dee Dee and Phyllis, another sparring session, of course.
Yep.
What was the one that she had that I liked? Oh, not telling her not to take out her little baggies
before everybody's eating.
I mean, even though she mentioned in a reading type of way, Phyllis seems like the type. And I feel like we do see that. Like, because Mona later on goes to something, she has like a whole cooler bag practically. She was stuffing it full of stuff. So that's not that far off. Big Dee Dee knew what Phyllis was going to be up to. So I will allow that one. And again, another tiny ass cake. Not only was it tiny, but it looked like a little grocery store sheet cake for y'all to be so rich.
Like, this is the what y'all big fancy people getting. Like, come on, I could have bought this $25 grocery store cake.
I'm not impressed. Sorry. And the party seemed like it was going just fine, and Big Dee Dee's on her little schedule. Okay, we got to do the cake right now. Man, relax.
Like, first of all, people just getting here. Like, Charles just got here like 3 minutes ago. Like, why are we?
I guess she gotta go.
She said nothing was getting her off that schedule, so they started arguing over about, because when she said, "All right, we got to get to the cake," Phyllis is like, "Girl, I'm trying to have a moment with my daughter. Like, can you chill and relax?" And like Big Dee Dee was like, "Nope, I got a schedule. We're gonna uphold it. We sticking to the schedule. We're gonna get to this cake." So then they started tussling over the cake, and what happens?
Try to grab a cake out of somebody's hands. And why is it just not on the table? Why is she walking around where I've never seen cakes on parade like this? They're just put the cake down. So they do put it down, and as Mona would say, it's just not my birthday without cake in my crotch. I always thought that was She said crotch of
Me
all
too.
things. Like why? I mean, I guess it fits. But that was a lot. Like she was slipping and sliding. She probably would have fell down the stairs. And it's so I was looking at the extras and how they didn't react. And then Charles is still dancing. All of
Don't
this
give
is
a damn.
happening. Nobody really seemed that concerned. Well, except for Big Dee Dee. Oh my, But
Yeah, yeah.
and then Phyllis was just kind of looking like, oh, but none of the
Right.
reactions, other than maybe Big Dee Dee, seemed to fit the moment to me.
Right.
They just kind of let it go, and then she just slides on downstairs. So now
Yep.
no cake for anybody, just birthday Ramaki, I guess.
Right, which as a person at the party, I would have been pissed off because I'll be waiting on the cake every birthday party, and now the cake is gone. Come on,
Well,
man.
as a person who acquired a gluten allergy later in life, I would have been glad. Like now, nobody gets any cake.
That's
Ha.
messed up. That's messed up.
But it was very what's the word I'm looking for, not serendipitous or coincidental, but just interesting that cake in the crotch is just like a recurring theme, that they were able to tie that together, yet no responsibility was put on Big Dee Dee and Phyllis when they're the ones that always put the cake in
They
her
keep
crotch.
tugging over the cake and throwing it into her crotch. Like, why won't they learn their
I would
lesson?
just expect that if we ever had Mona got married, I guess they would have thrown the wedding cake in her crotch too. Maybe
For
just
sure.
don't let them near the cakes ever at
Stop.
all.
Like, can somebody else deliver the cake?
Anybody, please. One of the maids, maybe. But
Anybody.
it does seem that, because later on, Dee Dee, they reconnect and she goes downstairs and wakes her up. Nobody had on a bonnet, but okay. She goes downstairs and, tries to talk about everything. And I totally forgot, even though it was 5 minutes prior, about the big, huge, life altering revelation. I thought she was still talking about the cake in the crotch, saying that, oh, you probably cried yourself to sleep. And I was like, well, that's rude. But then when I realized what she was talking about, I was like, oh, this was actually nice of her to come down.
Yeah, yeah.
And she was very concerned, and I like that we're continuing to see the bond, and that Mona, I don't think Mona apologized, but she didn't continue her rage against her, and she kind of backed down quite a bit once she realized, which I appreciated. I feel like typically people would not instantly back down. They'd be like, well, still, and well, you did this. She's like, nope, I was wrong. I made it up. My mother made it up, and we can squash it, which was a big step for Mona. You're my girl in this episode, Mona. You had on your
Yeah.
big girl panties, even though they were covered in cake, and you did what
Yeah,
you need to do.
she really bossed up. Like, so after the cake is spilled in her crotch, and then when she goes down to the apartment and Phyllis follows her, and then they have the little spat or whatever, like Mona asked her like flat out, like, why did you do that? Why did you make this big lie up? And Phyllis was like, turns out there was more dignity in somebody stealing my man than me admitting the truth, which is I pushed him away. Like I kept forcing him to get like a regular job, and he wasn't trying to hear that. So one day he just walked out and left and never came back. And
Which
she
was
was
kind of fucked
embarrassed.
up that he just walked out
That's
on
really
the
fucked
thing.
up. Like you could have just been like, look, like I don't want to be a part of this
But
no
that
more, but
does
to
make sense.
leave.
Like, why are you trying to work solely on commission and you got a new child? But they
Yeah, I
must have
mean,
had cracks already if that's all it took.
because that's crazy, bro.
Like in
Just
my
walk
head, there
out.
was a lot more that transpired for that I remember. And I'm like, oh, that's it? Because he went to real estate. Clearly it worked out.
That's the crazy part too. Is like I could see, like, yeah, I'm gonna need to know more details on like how rough the financials were, because like you obviously had to be able to survive, or you were surviving on just whatever he had, and then like he was obviously trying to do more, bigger, and better for all of y'all, and then you tried to force him to do something else. Like, first of all, what he was doing was a real like regular job. Like, it wasn't like he was out here doing something goofy or silly. Like, that was a solid thing to be trying to pursue. It wasn't like he was trying to quit and become a rapper or something. Like like he had a
And that's
real.
probably why she's so pressed, because as she stuck it out, she would have been Big Phyllis.
She would have hit the
Could have been in
lotto,
the
right?
mansion.
Right. You would have
And
had your pick
even
at apartments, and now look at you.
with her talking about, we hear her all the time, oh, how we struggle. Was there no alimony?
Right.
Were you struggling that much, Phyllis? You stayed in San Francisco, a very expensive city, so you must
Right.
have been struggling like that. But
Right.
I do like how, she was there for her sister. She went down there and comforted her. And Mona, not only did she, make amends with Dee Dee, but she also confronted her mother, which I think is a big step for her based on what we've seen, that she
Yep.
was able to confront her and not just hide it. Mona, we do see some good growth throughout the show with her, and I was a little rough on her last episode, but she did her big one.
I
The
mean, maybe it
big
was because it was
crappy
her
birthday.
birthday. She was
Yeah.
her birthday, so she put a big girl panties on and she bossed up and took ownership of things and was calling people out and she wasn't afraid of nothing this episode.
And for those of you watching, I'm not imitating LL Cool J. I again forgot my chapstick. Clearly, I just need to have it around my neck, so I keep looking at my lips. But I think I would love to know if Rachel felt like she had to like shift the way she was acting because she was playing so much younger. Like if
Mm-hmm.
Mona was her age, would she? I mean, you couldn't be as naive, and I mean, you could, but it wouldn't be as
Right,
acceptable to be as naive and immature. But I wonder if she really had to work to give that out, both of them, because Essence was a lot older than Dee Dee was. So
yeah,
again, like when you are playing much younger, I guess you have to really try to even just your body language, everything, to make it seem like you're 25 because I don't look at
right,
them and think they know damn well they wasn't 25 and 22. Like they passed.
right,
So
right.
I would be curious to know because the most recent role I think that Essence had right before this was Yvette Henderson, who was a high school student. So you go from a high school student to now you're a young adult with your own place and having sex and got a job and all this. So that's a big pivot, similar to Cousin Pam and then Maxine Shaw, attorney at law. Like you really have to flip it to represent the age group and then also separate yourself from a previous role because the craft, she was a teenager in there
Yep,
too. That was a little
yep,
before that, but that is an interesting concept, I suppose. And I think this is the first time we see Telma as the mother of an adult because, of course,
yeah,
she on Family Matters, getting by, they were teenagers.
yep,
So this is, perhaps that was a shift for her as well of playing a parent of someone that's more like a friend so that you
right.
can, have those types of interactions and not just be the, I do as I say type thing. Although I don't ever really remember her parenting Richie that much. Hell, she left him with her sister and moved
Yes,
somewhere else. So I guess she wasn't really into that too much with that
that
one.
is very true. She didn't really, that wasn't her thing. She was
I would,
always the fun auntie, the cool
yeah,
auntie. She didn't really, yeah.
I would love to know the difference as an actor again, when you go into a role as a mother, when you're mothering an adult versus mothering a child, like how you would approach that. But her son is a little older than me. So I'm trying to think. Yeah, he wouldn't have been an adult, I don't think, when she did this. So she really didn't have anything personal, perhaps, to pull from. And I'm sure
Right,
Valerie didn't because she's like 10 years older than Essence, but still
right.
was able to play that role. So that's always interesting to me because anybody can play somebody, their age and similar to them in some ways, but to have a big pivot like that, I think is a little added talent if you're going to do it and do it convincingly, like I think they did.
100%. You got to tap into something that is not your lived experience, but you just got to really envision you got to really just be in tune with the character, basically.
I would love to know if they did like anything, outside of studio stuff. I don't remember what show it was, but some show somebody was talking about in an interview that they invited one of their co-stars to their house so they could practice. And I'm just wondering if there was like a big gathering of all of them at one of their houses to really practice their dynamics and things other than being on the set to really get it down. Because I know they would hang out and stuff sometimes. So I would love to know if that was a thing. Because that type of, even though they had the chemistry, I feel like to really get it down, you got to put in those extra hours. And I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall at one of those gatherings, for sure. So Mona and Dee Dee, they have their little, moment, and
Kumbaya moment.
yes, and then Mona ends up talking to Phyllis, like you mentioned, and explaining they made up. Do you feel like she forgave Phyllis too easily?
It was crazy, like, cause she almost didn't directly ask, and then she was just like, "I forgive you." Like, it was very quick.
And there wasn't much of an explanation to me to warrant all of that.
Yeah, especially because like the question she asked right before the forgiveness, I think was something about like I thought you were supposed to be the one person who didn't lie to me, and you lied to me, and then she was just like, "Well, I mean, I thought it would be for the best." Da, 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 da.
I
Like
mean,
I
that's
found
kind
more
of a big
dignity in the lie.
deal. Like that's a big thing to lie about. It has shaped her entire life, and we just go right
Yeah.
past it like it wasn't nothing. Phyllis is very problematic in this episode.
Hey, look, we only got 22 minutes. I guess they said we got to get to
Yeah,
the
get to the
apology and just
point.
wrap this thing up.
And this character reminds me of a character Telma played named Gail. And if you all are following the Instagram, I posted a clip from this stage play from 2011 is when I saw it, I think. And it's called The Cleanup Woman. And Telma plays a mother that's very similar to Phyllis, except she got a little coin. And there's a whole scene, spoiler, where she confesses to her daughter because her daughter's like, "Why have you been lying? Or why would you tell me about why my father left? Like, did they just watch half and half and write this?" And it turns out that he left because he was on the DL. So maybe that part they veered off.
Right.
And apparently he had contracted HIV.
Ooh.
The stage plays, they love to go right to everybody gets HIV, but
Yeah.
especially if you were, gay or DL. But that is why she left. And she didn't want to tell her daughter in this play because she didn't want to tarnish his image to her. So she just, made up something else. So again, her daughter's whole life, she has
Right.
thought one thing and shaped her relationships and everything around that only to
Right.
finally get it out years later. Like, what is going on? Is this just a recurring theme? But who plays her daughter is Trisha Mann Grant, who's now following us. Shout out to Trisha, who
What up,
plays
Trisha?
Leslie on Beyond the Gates. And maybe y'all don't know, but Beyond the Gates is also my show. And if it didn't come on every damn day, I would have tried to do a podcast on that. But I didn't even realize it was her until I went to look it up the other day, and I watched the clip and I was like, "That's Leslie," because at the time I didn't know who she was. So for me to go to see it solely for Telma and Jack A, and then find out my other girl is in there, I'm like, they need to bring this play back on the road. All my girls in here. So Trisha and Grant, if you'd ever like to come on the show, we would love
Shout out to her. Shout out to Beyond the Gates. Shout out to the homie, the creator, Michelle Van Gene. Amazing, brilliant, kind lady.
You know her?
Yes, so that's another person. Fun fact. So we met on the picking lines during the strikes. She would come to the picket that I was the captain of, and every day she would be out there religiously just protesting and picketing like hardcore. So we would walk and talk the picket lines and hang out. So yeah, and then like right after I think the strikes were over is when that show came out, just took off, and I was like, "Whoa, look at her!" Just it was crazy, but she's the kindest person, man. So I'm really happy to see the success that show has been having. It is crushing. If y'all, it might be too late by the time this airs, but if it's not, go vote for it for the NAACP awards. It's up for some awards.
I didn't know we could vote. I didn't know it was a fan voting thing.
Yeah, it's open.
I never knew that. Well, I'm about to go.
We are in control.
And I intend to worm my way onto the set of Beyond the Gates at some point. So y'all have been warned. But I can be an extra. I don't have to have lines. That's fine. But yeah, come on. Anybody and everybody from Beyond the Gates, because clearly we have a lot of connections. Telma played her mama. Yep. Daphne and Keith were on the show. The creator. Like, I don't know if it's a Black Hollywood thing or if it's just half and half, and Beyond the Gates just happened to cross paths so much. But we love to see it. And any of you that want to come on.
That's right.
But at the end, we have Dee Dee giving Mona a little gift, which is a picture of them from that same day. I don't know how that works, but maybe she had a printer in her room or something. I mean, today that wouldn't be that difficult, but in 2002, would it be that easy to just get that printed out? I don't know. Maybe, perhaps. And Mona just loved it. I'm like, is that impressive of a gift? But perhaps again, because 2002, it wasn't as easy to go get pictures.
Yeah.
Maybe that made it more meaningful, but I was not impressed. I feel like she could have gotten her something else too. She has money, You could have thrown something.
It was crazier because I thought it was she got her picture from the childhood party where they ate the tassels, and I was like, first of all, I don't want to be reminded of this trash ass party. Why you bring me a picture?
But so I guess either way, it's ridiculous. I think, because she was like, 85. So I guess it was before the tassels. But That was sweet, that she liked it. The episode kind
The
of
thought that
abruptly
counts.
ended after that. Like, oh, I
Yeah,
love it. Roll credits. Oh, all
yeah.
right. I guess
Again, 22 minutes. Got to
guess
get
we're
out of there.
done. But I mean, if she likes it, I love it. I wasn't impressed. And then
Me
Charles
either.
spanking Mona because she didn't want to kiss Dee Dee. Problematic. Aside from the
Yeah,
fact that you're spanking her, but she doesn't get any bodily autonomy. Maybe she don't want to kiss her. She don't even like her. So you're gonna
right.
force. That's not. That's probably part of the reason. That's not gonna make them be close. So you're
Yeah.
problematic. Why are you even striking her? If anybody needs their ass beat, Charles, it's Dee Dee. But I really felt some type of way about that. I didn't care for that. But if that was on today, I'm sure they wouldn't have said that because
Oh no.
it's not appropriate. But I was surprised. I guess it just took me by surprise because they don't seem like that type. Maybe Phyllis, but I wouldn't expect Charles to be striking his child.
Right.
I mean, you don't do much parenting, so I guess the little bit you do has to be
It does.
violent.
Yeah. It did seem like it'd be a bit out of character for him to just step up and all of a sudden be in that role.
But only to protect Dee Dee. So,
Yeah.
but how many mics would you give this?
This episode it accomplished like some great things. It we finally not finally we very quickly got to the closure of the big lie that she's been telling all of this time. But at the same time, there were a few flaws, and it was like, why is this happening? We don't really need this. It was but I mean, because we concluded the big lie and it wrapped up so well, I'm gonna give it 4 mics.
I
Or
also give it 4 mics.
yeah,
I felt that it had some things. I felt like it was a lot rushed. This should have been a
yeah,
two-parter, maybe. Like, do we
yeah,
need the birthday party, the big lie? We meet Adam, cake in the crotch. It was just boom, 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 and it was a lot to take in. And I looked up, and it was over. I would have liked to be
right,
able to dive into more. Like, we're at Delicious, we're at Phyllis's job, we're at the party. It's like,
right.
okay, I felt like Lady Gaga, another club. This was just like, damn. Can I just focus on what is happening before I switch down? I'm back in time now. It's the 80s. Like it was a lot
Exactly,
happening and it was kind of hard to focus.
exactly.
But of course, it's funny, of course, and I like the storyline and then we see some development. It was a lot. So four is still nothing to sneeze at, Jay. This is
Yeah,
no reflection on you as a writer.
exactly.
We just
It was
needed
just a
a
lot going
little
on in a little bit of time.
we need a little
That
more
was the
time to
real.
focus on
Yeah,
what's happening. But it was a good important episode for sure in the arc of the stories because
yep,
we did establish the past and the lie and the birthday, and they do continue to have birthday spectaculars, craptaculars, whatever, as the years go on. It kind of became a thing like the Mother's Day. I love that, even though we didn't never got a Christmas episode, which I never realized,
mm,
or a Halloween episode.
those are always good
But
too.
they did
And
Thanksgiving, which is weird because most shows don't. So at least we got, some things that would always reoccur. And
right,
maybe we didn't get Christmas because Phyllis is half Jewish. I don't know. We could have had Hanukkah. But yeah, four mics I think is very decent.
yeah,
And I am glad that we did not see big. I wouldn't say that this was a big Dee Dee. What's the word I'm looking for? Vindicated. She didn't get vindicated,
no,
which she probably should have been, but she wasn't villainized. The only time that she was, we found out it wasn't true. Because usually there's multiple things thrown at her about why she's the worst. And that wasn't the case. And she was very, as usual, sweet to Mona. What did she call her? I was supposed to be tracking her nicknames.
well, yeah.
I feel like it was like Sweetie or Honey. It wasn't as super
It
creepy.
wasn't nothing extravagant. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was
It
something
wasn't
very, very
Bumblebee or
basic.
nothing like that.
Yeah, 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 it
But
was very basic.
again, she's always been sweet to Mona, except in that flashback she wasn't. But it was a
Except when
little
she's
little
flinging
daughter
cake on her
story.
crotch.
Yeah, other than that, who hasn't done that? But I think as far as the progression in the relationships, I will say that Mona and Dee Dee right now are in a very good place, and we're really seeing them start to bond. Phyllis still does not like little Dee Dee, even though she's up in her house at her party. But um, Mona and Charles didn't really interact much. He was very underutilized in this episode, really. He didn't have a lot to do. He was just kind of
Yeah, especially with the whole thing kind of centering around him and how he got to be where he was and how he left her. Like
yeah.
you would
You
thought
would
that
think
there
there would have
would.
been a Phyllis and Charles scene.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. And like, I don't think there's just a scene with Charles and Mona.
Not really. He just is telling her that he's gonna get the electric slide started. That was literally it. Like,
Yeah, so like after the lie came out, like you would have thought that they would have also had a moment, and then he could have kind of took some ownership for some things. Again, if they're given more time, given a two-parter, maybe these are things that they could have possibly
yeah,
played out. Because it would have been nice to see them have a moment and him take some ownership of how he just left her damn mama because he got tired of her nagging basically and telling him what to do and what job he should have. So he just bounced like. He could have took some ownership for that, and that would have helped.
yeah. I feel like he just had to be in the episode because it was a birthday and they
Yeah,
did a flashback, so he couldn't even be like, oh, he's out of town for work. So they were like, well, we need you for the flashback, so if you want to stick around a little bit and dance in the corner, feel free. Because they really didn't use him that much. But I guess he served his purpose, whatever that may have been, even though he didn't even show up at the party with his wife. I
yeah.
don't know what that's about. Working late, I guess.
They never come
That's
anywhere
all.
together.
Yeah, they are often separated. And they really don't. I mean, this is for another day, but they never really do exhibit that they're really in deep love like that.
Yeah,
Honestly, maybe that's
they
how they
seem to
like it.
operate in two different planes, two different worlds. Yeah,
Maybe it was a lavender marriage. I don't know. Who's to
maybe.
say? That's the thing these days. But overall, of course, I live either way. And
Yes.
yeah, I feel like there's supposed to be something else. Was there something else that we needed to say?
Now we can get back to the casting situation
Oh
that we
yeah, I
did.
knew that was something
So
else. I do. I'm gonna
having
leave to see
fun.
it. That's fine.
Yes,
Go ahead.
indeed. We had fun. Thought it would be fun to see what would happen if this cast was white. Who would they would have been? Because
I gotta
the
go
creator we
back.
found out is a white man. So originally it had to be probably conceived at least through his eyes as a white cast. So what would that have looked like?
Don't worry, we're not going to leave you with an unresolved cliffhanger like when Mona was trying to decide between Chase and Lorenzo. You can find out who we picked for our white version of Half and Half by following us at the Big Half and Half Pod on Instagram, where I'm going to post a video of our selections. And you can let us know in the comments whose cast you like best and who you would have casted if you were casting a white version of Half and Half. Our theme song was produced by Jerome Skywalker McKenzie and performed by Voice and J Anonymous and written by Miles Warden. And you can follow me, Barrett, at So Good We Named It, and Myles at Really Mighty on all social media. And you can follow the podcast at The Big Half and Half Pod. You can email us at thebighalfandhalfpodcast@gmail.com. Half and Half was created by Jeffrey Cleric and executive produced by Yvette Lee Bowser. This has been a mighty good production. Through this journey of discovery, in finding you, I'm finding me. Well, here's where you can find us. Be sure to follow the Big Half and Half Pod on Instagram and Threads. And you can follow Barrett at So Good We Named It on all social media, and Myles at Really Mighty. To get in touch, email us at thebighalfandhalfpodcast@gmail.com. Our theme song is by Jerome Starwalker McKenzie, Voice, and J Anonymous. Half and Half was created by Jeffrey Cleric and executive produced by Yvette Lee Bowser. This has been a mighty good production.